Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the third episode in our ultra long haul special series, where the real Airbus pilots and I are creating extra long haul special flights in the real world, but here in Flight Sim. And today we're starting in Manchester in northwest England on board the PMDG 777-200LR in prepared 3D version 4.5, and we're taking you back to the 7th of July 2019, so before the pandemic, as we recreate a charter in the Crystal Skye 777-200LR operated by Comlux of Aruba. And this particular flight was chartered by Manchester United Football Club to take their team down to a competition in Perth, Western Australia. So with 38 passengers, done my best to recreate this ultra long haul special flight in the real world here in prepared 3D version 4.5. Jumping into sim brief, we're going to be departing Manchester on runway 05 left, turning southeast and staying in a southeasterly direction the entire route between Manchester and Perth. We will first be crossing the North Sea into Dutch airspace, then crossing northern Germany into Polish airspace. We'll then be crossing over Ukraine, which certainly wouldn't be possible at the time of recording this flight, but please remember guys that this flight took place on the 7th of July 2019. After crossing the Black Sea, we'll be overhead Turkish airspace before heading into Iranian airspace, and then crossing the Indian Ocean overhead India, then back into the Indian Ocean in the direction of Indonesia before turning south towards Western Australia, where we'll be arriving in Perth after a flight time of 16 hours and 38 minutes. So a little under an hour longer than the two previous flights we've made in this series so far. Right, it's time for me to shut up for a while as we get this Crystal Skye 777-200LR prepared for its departure on this ultra long haul special flight to Perth, Western Australia.
Comlux 772 Lima Heavy is cleared at Perth Airport S-File. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain altitude 7,000. Departure frequency is 118.575, squawk 3322.
Hello Captain, we are ready for pushback. Locking gear. Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will. Unlocking gear. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear, right is clear.
I know guys, the GSX level 2 pushback was pretty unrealistic in this flight. There is no way this aircraft would be pushed back so close to the jet wash blast barrier, but hey ho, that's Flight Simulator for you. Anyway, it's time to taxi to runway 05 left here at Manchester International Airport. And the scenery that I've got installed here at Manchester is of course from Gary at UK 2000. It is of course the most up-to-date version at the time of editing this flight, but to be honest guys, I've got no idea what version that is. When we get down to Perth, Western Australia in just under 17 hours time, you will see Perth International International Airport from MESG for prepared. And you may remember that last year I recorded a very similar flight between London Heathrow and Perth on board the Quality Wing 777-9 in the livery of Qantas. However, the main difference between that flight and this flight is the routing. When we departed Heathrow on the Qantas flight to Perth, we headed initially in a northeasterly direction, overflying Russian airspace, which of course would not be possible at the time of recording this flight. So I found it very interesting that SynBrief picked this particular routing, which maintained a pretty straightforward southeasterly flight for the entire duration. And here we are passing the Museum of Flight at Manchester Airport, and inside that hangar was one of the British Airways Concorde. And of course there is also a decommissioned BAE 146 sitting outside the hangar. An awesome reminder of the fantastic aviation heritage here in the United Kingdom. Right, we're approaching the threshold of runway 05 left here at Manchester, so it is nearly time to get this PMDG 777-200LR into the sky.
Orbx 777-2, Lima Heavy, cleared for takeoff, runway 5, left surface with home.
Change 06 left. On runway 06 left.
Just below us to our left is the Humber estuary, and this meant we were approaching the east coast of England as we cruised towards our initial altitude of flight level 310 or 31,000 feet. We would ultimately get to flight level 410 or 41,000 feet, but by then we would be overhead northwest Australia. So for now we're heading out over the North Sea, climbing towards flight level 310, and there we would remain until we were overhead the Black Sea. And here we are approaching our first step climb from flight level 310 to flight level 330 while talking to Odessa Control over the Black Sea. And remember guys, at the time of recording this flight, this routing over Ukraine wouldn't have been possible. But we would now be climbing into the night at flight level 330 in the direction of Turkey and Iran. By the time we had burned off enough fuel to climb to flight level 350, we were overhead Iranian airspace. And another really impressive thing about the PMDG 777 is the accuracy of the flight dynamic. For pretty well the entire flight, this Boeing 777 was showing we would arrive in Perth with between 21 and 22 tons of fuel remaining. And as we travelled through the night talking to Mumbai Control in India, we'll be making our next step climb to flight level 370. And when we were finally able to climb to flight level 390, we had crossed the Indian Ocean and we were talking to Jakarta Control in Indonesia. And from here we would continue to talk to Jakarta Control until we were handed over to Melbourne and then Brisbane. And finally, after a lot more hours, the red Mars-like desert landscape of northwest Australia came into sight. And while we were transiting from north to south overhead Western Australia, we would make our final step climb to flight level 410 for the last couple of hours of this flight. And the real Airbus pilot tells me that on a single flight, this final step climb would make negligible difference to the fuel quantity used. However, in large airlines, every little bit counts. So aircraft would climb to a higher cruise altitude, say 410 in this case, because when every flight is added together, a significant fuel saving over a year can be found when added to the entire fleet of a large airline. Anyway, as I'm talking, we're descending from flight level 410 into the Perth area, where we will be landing on runway 21. And the scenery that you're seeing below us here is Orbx Australia version 2 for prepare. And as I said during our taxi to runway 05 left at Manchester, Perth International Airport scenery that I've got installed is from MESG. welcome to Perth, Western Australia. We made it and proved once again that you can fly these ultra long haul special flights in Flight Simulator. So as we clean the aircraft up and taxi to the stand, it's time to bring another episode of Sim Sunday to an end. The next video I publish will be the last one in 2022 and it will publish on Christmas Day. So if you want to continue to follow the channel, you know what to do. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon if you wish to be notified when the next video is published. So until our next video when we wrap up 2022. Thank you very much for watching, and wherever you're flying in your virtual world, don't forget to fly safe.